we start with the injury situation? Everybody okay?
Well, we've got a couple of knocks. Curtis Davis, and he's the main one really, but we expect him to be okay. Shane Long's got a knock, and as you know, we'll see how he is today as well. So there's a few knocks and bumps and bruises, but we expect everybody to be okay.
Great win, obviously, at the weekend. Are you almost there, do you think, now?
Well, you can never say never, and I think I've been asking that question now for the last 3-4 months. You know, any team in the bottom 10 for me, we're still all in it until it's mathematically that you can get to where you want to get to. I've always said it's accumulation of points. I always said if you get 10 wins, then usually you're going to draw 7-8 games along the way with that. And 38 points usually is enough. Whether that's going to be enough this year with the league the way it is, we're all not quite sure, but I think you'd be very, very unfortunate if you got 38 points in your first season and it wasn't enough.
You mentioned Shane Long a moment ago. He's looking an absolute bargain at the moment, isn't he? Is he one of the best value for money signings you've ever made, do you think?
Well, just at the right time, him and Jelavic give us all a lift because, and that's, that was the main thing, to try and persuade him to come here, and, it didn't quite happen on deadline day last summer, and we kept it bubbling away when we possibly could. Would he consider still coming? And he's been a terrific signing, and hopefully there's a lot more to come. And as I've said repeatedly, for a newly promoted team, he just ticks all the boxes because his attitude, his work rate, his commitment to the cause. He's a real team player, and I have to say that goes for Jelavic too. The pair of them, when you're going to play two up front, there's not many play two up front in the division these days. When you do play two, the one thing they have to have is a commitment and a work ethic to come play in the team. Yes, you expect them to score a goal, but they have to do that because, as I've said to you, there's not many teams play with two strikers up front.
Was it disappointing to hear that he got a bit of abuse from some fans in the car park?
Well, we're going to have to look at that, at security outside after games. I mean, let's be fair, there's one or two mindless idiots, there always is, unfortunately. And it was upsetting for him at the time. He was terrific at West Brom, and I know from the local media down in the Midlands what the actual supporters think of him. They're devastated he left, really, and I think it was a accumulation of all of them things. Of course, him getting the penalty, scoring a goal, then in some idiot's mind he's going to be cannon fodder. But I think he understands and realises that can happen in a football match, unfortunately. And as I said, we'll look at a bit more security outside the ground when players are leaving to get into their car parks, because it was a little bit unsavoury, especially when he's got his daughter with him.
The penalty, there was a bit of debate about that.
Well, as I said at the time, the only thing I can say is Chris Foy is not far from me to you away. He's that close to the incident, so in his eyes he must have thought there was contact. Shane being Shane gets straight back up. He bounces back straight up to try and get on with the game, but the referee thought it was contact. Now, I think I said at the time that you'd be a bit disappointed if it went against you, if I'm being honest. But as I've said, Chris Foy is an excellent referee, and he was less than 10 yards away from it. So, yeah, I'm looking from 60 yards away, and you see cameras, but he must have thought there was enough contact there to warrant a penalty.
Given that and the mistaken identity sending off at Arsenal over the weekend as well, the old technology debates rearing its head again, what are your thoughts on whether or not...
Well, the one thing I can't understand really, when we've got the technology of why he didn't go with his fourth official when he kept hearing to be fair to Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's gone up to him twice to say it was me, you've got the wrong man. Why he didn't just check? I suppose that's for him definitely to look back in hindsight. But we're all human, we all make mistakes, and that's probably the biggest one he'll make. And he's they've got a difficult job, referees. Let's be fair, with the scrutiny they're under as much pressure as probably we are under, because they're scrutinised by the mistakes they make. We never praise them enough when they have a really, really good game, but that little bit of common sense. We've got to bring back that and say, if we can use the technology, why couldn't you go to the fourth official and say, look, just go and check with the TV guy. Have I got the right guy here? Seems easy enough to do.
In the press conference after the West Brom game, we all saw your reaction to watching the Wayne Rooney goal.
So I've heard.
Are you aware you've become
so hurt. Wow. I've come viral on Twitter, have I? Dear, oh dear. If I knew what that meant, then I'd be delighted. No, I was just sitting here and the goal went in. It's not often you see a goal like that, is it? So that was a great goal and a great piece of individual skill, and unfortunately it's gone viral on Twitter, as everybody keeps telling me.
Well, you've got West Ham next. Have you had your players practicing halfway line shots this week? Or?
To be fair, we can't shoot from 18 yards, never mind 55 yards. So we'll practice a bit from closer in, I think, before we try anything like that.
But I mean, West Ham have had a great run, and then all of a sudden Sam Allardyce gets the Manager of the Month award.
He's got that curse, hasn't he? He's got that curse. Yeah, but he's an experienced manager who's been through it, and there's nobody more experienced than if you're in a dogfight and you want somebody to get you out, then Big Sam's your man, isn't he? I mean, and I think the West Ham people understood that. He had some terrible injuries towards the start. Once he got all these injuries back and all the rest of it, then over the last couple of months, then they look a West Ham team again, don't they? And we're all the same. If you take 4 or 5 of your best players out repeatedly, then I don't care who you are, you're going to have a little bit of a struggle. Thankfully, they've seen through that. His experience has seen him through it. I expect them, after they've won 4 on the spin, and they've had a couple of defeats, but I expect them to be nowhere near the relegation area when the end of the season comes.
Just finally from me, will you get a chance to get round the TV maybe and watch the big game in Manchester tonight?
Well, I'm either going to watch the TV, but we're just thinking about going to see Arsenal play Swansea, because we play Swansea next week, so it might be an ideal opportunity to go and see that game, so that's where I'll be going.
Well, Steve, it is West Ham. It's 2 English managers, Sam Allardyce and yourself, 2 strapping central defenders in your day. Are you similar or different from Sam?
Well, I've become we haven't got many friends. Well, we have got many friends, but not in football, really. It's quite strange how it works. You tend to find your friends are away from it. But I can call Sam as one of my friends. Over years, we've both started the same sort of time in management. Him taking over at Notts County and me at Sheffield United some 14, 15 years ago. And we've been hammering tongs at each other since. And every summer we get together and have a few days away and enjoy a weekend together. And you're right, we're both hairy arse centre halves, and I would like to think I was a little bit more cultured than he was, but I better not say that, and I better not get back to him, otherwise there'll be hell to pay.
But you obviously enjoy his company, and what do you make of his teams you've told us about?
Well, he gets, in my opinion, because I'm a friend of his, he gets unfair labels thrown at him. It's, if you look at the job he done at Bolton, there's nothing short of miraculous. To finish in the top 6 3 times is quite remarkable. Look where Bolton are now. Even his stint at Newcastle didn't last very long, but they're still in a good position. What he's done at West Ham over the last couple of years gets them up, gets them promoted, keeps them up. He's always been successful in what he's done, and doesn't get the recognition maybe that he deserves.
And if he's fit, Curtis Davies against Andy Carroll is not one of the great Premier League matchups this season?
Well, of course, he's a handful, Andy Carroll, and when he's fit and flying like he is, then he's a handful for any central defender. But we've had the privilege to see Curtis over the last 6 months, and you would have to say he's been a terrific signing for us, and he's had a wonderful season, and I'm sure he'll enjoy the challenge of it. He'll relish the challenge of it, because that's the type he is. Whether they're Andy Carroll or Suarez or whoever they are, he seems to thrive on playing against them, which is always good to see.
Final one from me. Are you going to put money on Liam Senior scoring again? He took him 157 games last time.
No, I think it was a great quote though, that he's had 2 kids before he scored. But the last time he scored, it's your day. I said at the time, sometimes you need a bit of luck. Where he practiced the run up from, if you have a look on the TV, he actually started 20 yards outside the box.
Doesn't encroach?
It doesn't encroach at all. Timed it to perfection. On Why he's done it, how he's done it, I do not know. I would love to say we rehearsed it, but that would be a load of bull. Just your time, and for him to have a reaction like that, it's quite remarkable, because he's not a recognised goal scorer. Goal scorers think like that. Usually somebody like Rozzy, no disrespect, doesn't.